Imeall anocht, anta spantas for the birds, sa visual a gaharlach. Tradiisiún béal chuir coghine leis an leabhar a nas. Límnachs na 1970 leis an ringrafador Jerry Andrews agus físeán úr ceol leis siolin. Tá Seán Lynch a chuineadas na halaíontóirí is tábhachtaí dá bhfuil goin agus is sé ar aghaidh go Biennale Innovation bhliain se chuin ar son na Héireann. Tá tá spantas anspéisiúil dá chuidirsúil I láthair na huaire I Gairlach agus dúirmar ar Jamie Costin, láithreoir na stratha ferm an sothar TG Ceathair, dulchan é dhéiscin dúin.
Is fear mór déireachta mé ón Ryan. Nílim féin rónta ag an alín a cá spéise go mán. Cúla mé go bhfuil tá spantas anna éagsúil ar siúlann seo sa visually Cairlach. Dar bannam for the birds leis an alíontóir Seán Lynch agus tá tanú go mór fáil amach níos múfaoi. Is etan séir mars dír písa aimimidé agus an ceann há sé clúdthe le nuachtáin agus há ar bar an ceann há log anam chu de átainna ar fud an tír scritar. A ní mé seo cinnte tá sé mar an clós ferma sa bhaile going go bád bí na handbheithe rith na gaiire. Bhín an eilíonn sútálaach ábhríonn eisteach agus tebí de gná ach cach bó. Cá tá ar aigean seo. Cuimhín ina sin faointe spánta seo an seo.
Well, tá cúpla saothar an seo le Seán Lynch an taliontóid óg éireannach ach sé for the birds an príomhthéir atá ar tuispáint. Agus don saothar seo baineann sé úsáid as cuid de stair áitiúil an cheantais an seo ar timpeall ar cheathlach. Go háirithe teach Moling nó St Mullins nach bhfuil ró adamhain. Agus is áit spéisiúdaí sin sa bhéid is gúil pórthmhór i gceann dus na scéalta móra is stair litríocht na Gaeilge is sé sin buile himhne. Agus thar timpeall ar charachtar simhne an rí ar curú malachtair agus I duine as a bheabhair agus a bhí dul timpeall na tíre faoi mar a bheith éanán. Agus hagan ar deire go dtí an cantar seo.
I suppose there's a certain interest in the wandering spirit. So Sweeney would have perched on a fence over here for a few minutes and constructed a lament or a verse and a poem about the plight he was in. In this particular location, a farmyard, a lady would come out every evening and feed him dinner. And her process of doing that was going to the nearest cow dung, nearest pat of cow dung that she could find. She put her heel into it and shape out a bowl out of the cow dung and then pour milk into the bowl. And Sweeney would come down off the trees and he'd lap it up. He'd drink the milk out of the cow dung. So the piece here begins to try and imagine this very, very particular moment of the story and how to play it out physically in a space. We brought a cow and a calf in here and they spent an afternoon here in the gallery space, did their business, and we reenacted this particular moment with the dung and the milk. And what you see, I suppose, is the aftermath of that process here.
Tá taithí is stáilm ag pobl na Halíne ar a lehéidir seo de chur a láthir, lehéidir seo de thiamh áthrathú agus de scéal á ancient le elementí éagsúla. Agus ar nó tairngíon Seán chuid den Halíne tradiisiúntas mas mai leat nó Halín tá níos coitianta sa phobal agus sa bhéid is go núsáideann sé mar chuid dá héithir hain rácheann de dhealamh le dealabhór a bhainnas le glúin níos sinne Tom Fitzgerald agus tá rá dhealamh ag Tom a rís de deire as an spéis léidir sé siúd I mhuile himne sa scéal seo.
In some way, it plays with this idea that normally when people go into galleries, they think they're going to have to think through a lot of processes and consider what's going on to find a hidden message. And it's in some way quite a nice thing to take all that rationality and throw it out the window. And of course, an animal could share this space. It's a cultural space. Animals are part of the culture we live in. Also, the idea of the installation is that people would be drawn to the narrative or the myth and pick up some of the books here in the bookshop or become more aware about it. I'm also very interested in terms of the progressions of how modern art works, you know. So if you begin to think, for example, of an IDA businessman in a hotel foyer in Boston trying to impress and get some foreign investment to the country, they're much more likely to pull out a book with watercolour by Patrick Scott on it. That was the modernity that was being presented of Ireland in the 1960s. And I'm very interested in this idea around how the state builds itself up and the things that kind of get left behind. So folklore in many cases is one of these things. It's something that's put into the heritage industry. It's likely it's for touristic values, you know? And so it's been a theme of my work for quite a period of time to think through certain aspects of folklore and begin to try and see how liberal they are and how you can use them in many ways to tell stories that are maybe suppressed in one way.
Tá rudaíonn seo atá sa aitheanta mar ealaín na dealaba ag Tom Fitzgerald, agus tá rudaí eile go méide go níor fáil tain gur a glós feirime seachas an gallery a bachóid dó sin a bheith há, nach chur ceistir tain cén chuí nathaíonn brí na rudaí seo humos a saoil, nuair a churann tú iad sa gallery. Agus féchar an scanán bain solt mar tá sé bheanúir as an íireacht seo más manat scéal atá míle bliain d'aois nach mór, a ancient I Jeremy co-aimside.
Well, fáiltíoch seoid úr litrathe na malamh ina bheicimid síocht na mún taobh le grianghraif álainn leis an grianghraifadóir Lanka Haus Perrin. Thugam mar cuairt úidir an leabhar bheasa, Brendan Húlaháin, le na hill amach mai allir a nas.
Lá an ráis is mem hasamh an srúilthir, se de dhearcas am a bhiútaín sa tamáint, ní a bhealas an malaí ná blúire ná rion fipa túrtha clíháin. Nuair a chas sí neisce na chóirsa, is I bhuirim na cúgan sa tamáint, de hairige mar cachró chúngaí is de legach a cúlaí a dráig. Dá marach sí siúd go tránhóna, de bheimiis sí glóraí go háart, be chluach chuig fúnt tuiscís de fórtar I ge bucha lí frois de fiún trá. Is nod a tána stocha ná blaise de tradiisiún chuig mún. Tradiisiún gur chudé de tradiisiún níos lehéine na héan trí chéile. Blaise don Severus agus an Severus sa seanraí atá ann, tá ránta agus áráin agus dáanta, tá seanachil, tá trí réid, tá scialta, tá orthaí, tá pedracha, tá seanachil, tá réimse seanraí ann. Ní hawlig hánig an smaoinemh chum an leabhar scríb dá riide, is álig a lean an smaoinemh me. Dail sig taig mar chuna gáin leabhar don sais seo ó Ghaeltacht Chonamara rein bliantó hin. Agus íon sé sus agin gur bheilis ceanna bheithe an as ó chorcaghine agus íar sé domsa an inan an aber sin. Agus bhí anachas ar mé dhéanamh, mar is mór an friviléide dul a tochailt I de chúlú féin agus I de tradiisiún féin, agus ráí dhéanamh as, agus sin rud spéisiúil. An téléthach an leabhar Salítar dom go bhaich sé léargas réasúnta phobal chorcaghine, agus an sais dearcha a bhí acu I leithin tail. Dína behéad a bhair anna chóngracht an dalamh, go raibh curamach acu an dalamh cunas arathúirta, cunas sásamh a bhaintas. Dína a behéad go raibh tuiscint acu cadé an nóhan. Bhair a róh blian go blian, mar ní a bheith gháilta sí beag agus bhíidir brathir gailchad dar ire. Agus bhaidir ó bblion go blion, agus vísa chuidir bhí nóhainteá. Agus bhecha súlagam bhhailm go bheiceach daine agus go mórhar daine ó go éarnacha, go bhfuil insa leabharsa tacht an misteachas atá go daine tradiisiún na hhéireann agus nach gágóibh dul sir ó dheas sa dro buda I lorg céile go bhfuil se le fáil na tradiisiún féin. Éirim me bheith óga ríis. Éirim hí me bheith das. Na hamarí a chéan firóga am grúa, éirim hí am an das. Im chasan go dig a lú. Mécla go raibh go lú róheal. Go nírí mo rám a ríis, agus trír dóigir is súil le meán.
Fáilte Harnash. Tá de spantas fíorálinn siúil dín 5 lá a bhí anar sa chartlan náisiúnta Green Grafadóireachta ina bheith míid saoil lim níos na 1970 agus chuig mechan é eiscint agus le leirt leis an Green Grafadóir umráiteach Jerry Andrews. Jerry, we're surrounded here by some extraordinary faces. Tell me about the first time you discovered the milk market in Limerick.
Oh, the Limerick Milk Market was a fantastic place to go for me as a boy. I used to go every Saturday with my mother. Particularly around Christmas time, there was a great atmosphere there.
When did you first start taking these photographs then?
When I was about 19 years of age, I started. They were taken in the period 1971 to 75, the bulk of them. So I was in my early 20s. I was very, very conscious that the Limerick Milk Market was going to close down because really, essentially, it was a derelict site. And these people had traded there for many, many years, went all the way back to the opening of the milk market in 1852. And I realised that once the Limerick Milk Market closed, that the families that had traded there for all of those years, that these people would be gone forever. So I really needed to capture that period of Ireland, the vanishing Ireland, because we were just on the cusp of change, particularly in Limerick.
You call this young lad the animal lover. Do you remember him?
Oh, I remember him very well. Those animals were his pets, and his father had just sold the 2 turkeys, and he was sobbing unconsolably. And he held on to those 2 dogs for dear life, like as if to say, don't sell my dogs. But the very minute those turkeys were sold, they were whisked away from him. The slaughterhouse was just immediately next door to where he was sitting. And within earshot, he could hear his turkeys being slaughtered. And the father was blindly oblivious to how upset he was, because as far as the father was concerned, you know,
They made a good deal.
he'd made a good deal. There wasn't too much money in that family. So the sale of those 2 turkeys was a fundamentally important deal on that day for that farmer. This young lad, to my mind, epitomised the kids that played in the market, that grew up in the market, because, you know, they had that sense, they were streetwise, they were really clued in. I might have been 20 when I took the photograph, but that kid was a lot more streetwise than I was. That photograph was taken around the time that Charlie Haughey made his famous speech where he told us all to tighten our belts, that we were living beyond our means. So Charlie obviously had never been to Limerick Milk Market.
Who are we looking at here, Jerry? Who's this lady with the hat?
That lady her name was Mary White. The interesting thing about that lady was that her mother was born at the tail end of the famine times, and the market was opened in 1852, about the time that that lady's mother was born. And what astonished me when I was taking her photograph was the link to our historical past. I couldn't believe that one generation on, I was actually taking photographs of somebody who had a direct link to famine times. But when she died, just 8 people were at her funeral, just enough to carry the coffin. And to my mind, she represented this vanishing Ireland that I keep on referring to, because we had a direct link back to famine times, and her demise effectively also came about at the same time that the Limerick Milk Market, as it existed back then, closed down. So it was the end of the family line, and it was the end of the milk market. Her mother saw the opening of it, and she saw the closing of it. Fundamentally, all of the people that I knew in the Limerick Milk Market were the most decent people that I've ever come across. And if in any way that I was to, I suppose, represent that community in a disrespectful manner, these images wouldn't go on the wall, and I'd destroy the negatives. It means that much to me, because as far as I was concerned, I will not and would not betray the trust of the people that I got to meet during that period.
You spent a spell with the Limerick Leader. Tell me about your work there.
I qualified as a process engraver with the Limerick Leader and went on to become the works manager before I branched out to do my own, have my own business in Dublin. And at one time we had 125 people working for us. So, you know, it was a busy time. And during that period when I was concentrating on career, I didn't do any photography at all. I didn't even possess a camera at one point. So
did you miss it?
I did, but I'm the kind of a guy, I'm either into something 100% or not at all. I made a conscious decision from the very beginning to keep the commercial aspect of my life separate from photography. I wanted to pursue projects that really I was interested in. I didn't want to have a situation where I'd be dictated to by the needs of a news desk or something like that. The mundane would have turned me off photography, I'll be honest. I think if I had gone into photography, I know I would have gone into photojournalistic type of photography. I'd probably have gotten killed in Vietnam or someplace like that, because I would immediately I'd gravitate towards wherever there was action, wherever. I was a bit fearless. Still am in many respects. Looking back on it now, I have many regrets. I had an opportunity as a young lad to go to the States on an athletic scholarship to do photojournalism, and I choose not to do so. Met a girl, fell in love, was afraid I'd lose her, and got married, and that was my fundamental goal in life, I suppose, was then to just develop a career and concentrate on family. And photography then was an indulgence that I wasn't able to afford, you know, in terms of time, and in the early years in terms of finance. I returned to photography after my wife died in 2004 because I needed to get a whole new perspective on life, and photography was the number one thing, I suppose, that occupied my mind after June died. And I continued to travel and take photographs of vanishing cultures, particularly all the way right through Asia. In many respects, it's a case of looking at what was going on in Limerick in the 70s. This was a vanishing Ireland, and then when I came back to photography, more or less replicating my initial love, which was to take photographs of people in their environment, in changing cultures, and particularly environmental portraiture.
Shaped by History is the name of the exhibition, Jerry, but to what extent do you think you were shaped by that experience you had at the milk market?
Oh, my experiences in Limerick Milk Market established me as an individual, as a business person. My father was right. It was the university of life. We're all shaped by our history, and I've certainly been shaped by the people that I met in the milk market back in the 70s.
But tá breis is 2 milliún duine tar éis breanúir íseán cheol an grúpa seo linn agus iad a dul ó neart gneart a gcónaí. Tá ar an nuachad ar teideal déan rothaháin agus seo héon físeán úntach a ghabhann leis an air an son. Bunig í súpas. Bígin ar down to ríist an tachtain se chuin ar bheimiid a caint leis an chieftain a hain Paddy Maloney agus bim de Imeall féirste le halaíontóirí mór fictúir na carach son.